Morning, Facebook. Thank you so much for joining. You are welcome to the Civilized Presence. Please give us a few minutes for this video to be visible to everyone. Good morning. Come on in and let me know where you're joining us from. I am so excited that you made out time to be here with us. Good morning. Just give us a moment and we're going to have this up and running shortly. Good morning. Jump on in and let me know where you're joining us from. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. Give us 2 minutes and Facebook should be ready to go. All right. I'm just trying to put this on your page, Mr. Charles.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. It looks like you have some security on your page, but that's okay. We should be able to see it on my page. Welcome, everyone. Please let me know where you're joining us from this morning. It's the Civilized Presence, and you are definitely in the right place. Welcome. Please do us a favor, invite other people to be part of what we're doing. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. I'm so excited that you made out time to be here. Just give us a moment. We're trying to connect this. Yes. Okay. The network is pretty fuzzy this morning, but it's going to work out. I'm excited. All right. Perfect. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Let us know where you're joining us from. It's important that we know where you're joining us from. Welcome to the Civilized Presence. This morning has been a little bit fuzzy. Welcome for me. It's great to have you in the house. Thank you so much for making out time to be here. Esther, it's good to have you in the house. Welcome, everyone. I am so excited. Let me tell you, it's a holiday here in the United States, but there is no better place to be than to just be here and have fun with you in the Civilized Presence. Welcome. If it is your first time, you're in the right place, I assure you. So just kind of relax and have some fun and invite some other people to be part of what we're doing. Now, if it's your first time, it's a Civilized Presence. We're usually here every Mondays and Fridays at 8:30 Eastern Time. Sometimes we have some special sessions, maybe at the weekend. Some of you might have seen me yesterday, and welcome, Jose. It's great to have you. The Civilized Presence is an online TV session where lives are changed, where people discover their self, purpose, and voice, and of course, learn social skills to thrive in the real world. So if you want to become a change maker, you are in the right place. So welcome. Do me a favor and just invite some more people to be part of this. Share this video on your page and invite more people. Invite your friends, your loved ones, your enemies. It's a great message, so everyone should be part of it. Now, my name is Louisa Akaiso, and I am going to be your host for today. I feel so honored that you responded to the call. I don't know how you got here. Did you find it on Facebook or on Instagram, on YouTube? Well, welcome. Are you here on replay? I appreciate your making out time. This is what we do every Mondays and Fridays, and really the focus is to restore civility back into our society. So some of you might be asking, who is she? I am Louisa Akaiso, and I am a certified master civility trainer. I'm a 3 times author and also a leadership coach and trainer with the John Maxwell team. I work confidently with leaders and professionals that place great importance in themselves and their reputation. And of course, it's going to be you this morning because you made out time to be here. So I really celebrate you for making out time to be here. Thank you. We're going to have fun this morning. Now, some of you might still be asking, what is civility? civility is focused on positive people's treatment. Civility is treating others the way that you want to be treated. Maybe you want to think about it as the golden rule. That's okay. Civility is simple things like saying please and thank you, or even sharing a compliment like I'm going to do right now to Mr. Charles, that I am so excited that you made out time to be here. Thank you so much. Now, my question for you would be, guys, how many of you have really taken the chance to do something positive to somebody else, extend the hand of kindness? So let me share with you a definition of civility. And this states that from Dr. P.F. Funny, states that being civil means being constantly aware of others and weaving restraint, respect, and consideration into that very fabric of awareness. So civility is focused on gracious goodness. Civility is treating others the way that you want to be treated. Civility, it's really being responsible for your actions, easing the experience of the person next to you. This is what we do every Mondays and Fridays. So it's just as easy as that. Welcome, Ticia. It's great to have you in the house. Ehi, I'm so excited that you made out time to be here. Mr. Charles, I was trying to share this on your page, but I'm not able to, but it's on my personal page. So maybe you can just share the video on your page if that's possible. I hope that you can share it on your page, because I think there's some security on your page and I'm not able to. Now, some of you might have seen the topic of today, some have not. And if you haven't, that's okay. The topic of today is on conflict resolution in the workplace. Burden bearing, welcome. It's great to have you. Sandra, welcome. It's great to have you. Nara, welcome. It's great to have you. Bala, welcome. It's great to have you. Benga from Nigeria, it's good to have you in the house. Az from Canada, it's good to have you in the house. Thank you so much for being here. Now, conflict, that's the topic of today. Conflict is a form of incivility. And I want you to know that conflict is different from bullying, because sometimes people kind of confuse conflict for bullying, but conflict is different from bullying, because it happens when two people, and welcome Farhan, it's good to have you in the house. Thank you so much. Let us know where you're joining us from this morning. And guys, my guest is coming in from Tanzania and his network is a little fuzzy, but he will be back. So give us a moment while we just kind of keep powling along until he gets here. So conflict is different from bullying, because it happens when two people disagree. But of course, both of them have got a voice, even when they disagree. But when you look at bullying, bullying on the other hand happens just when one person has got a voice and the other person kind of uses their voice, to bring pain to the second person. So a conflict will begin with an individual not accepting, the differences, especially at work. Sometimes we might have like a physical friction that might be an outcome because two people had a battle with themselves. So the conversation this morning really is talking about how can we deal with this conflict. We're trying to bring back our guest online, and I'm just waiting for him to get back here. So it's important for every organization to try to promote a culture of civility. Of course, a culture of civility means that they're able and willingly ready to express empathy amongst their workforce. Because when they do that, this is going to equip them with the right skills that is required to manage conflict. So conflict is a big thing in the workplace. Now, guys, if you're in here, let me know if you've experienced any form of conflict before, whether it's in the workplace, whether it's on one-on-one. Let us know if you've experienced any form of conflict while we're just waiting to have my guest back. Welcome, Sister Arlene. It's great to have you in the house. Thank you so much for joining us. Ifoma, it's great to have you in the house. Thank you so much for joining us. Dr. Branch, it's great to have you in the house. Thank you so much for joining us. The topic of today is conflict resolution in the workplace. Everyone will agree with me that this is a topic that has got to be dealt with. Now, I'm just waiting on for our guests. Let me introduce him to you. He's trying to connect back on. He's coming in from Tanzania. So the network has not been too friendly this morning. But let me talk a bit about who he is just before he gets here. His name is known as Mr. Brand because, of course, he's an author of a book, Personal Brand. He also offers a lot of programs in the area of personal branding. He is a brand strategist, an author, and a professional speaker with a great background in psychology. His name is Mr. Charles Nduku, also known as Mr. Brand. Mr. Brand, that's what he's known for. He's also the founder of Africa's Success Academy, an organization which consults and trains several institutions, SMEs, corporates, and individuals. He's also the visionary behind Nafankiwa Inspiration, with a mission to be the most influential institution, enhancing people find a better life or strive to achieve their potentials and values, and of course creating a winning spirit. And that's Mr. Brand for us. We're just waiting to get back Mr. Brand. I'm not sure what's going on, but he's not yet here. And I'm really just paddling along just to wait for him a little bit. If not, I'm going to have to take on this session, which is fine. That's a great thing with doing something that you love to do best. Well, Sister Beth, it's great to have you in the house. I can see some other people who are joining us. Well, if I do not mention your name, it's because you're not directly on my page. Now, I was just talking about conflict and different ways that we can approach conflict. One of the ways that we can approach conflicts really in the workplace is using something, a system that was introduced by Dr. Martina, I think it's Martina Garrison, if I'm not wrong, and she called that the interest-based relational approach to conflict resolution. So this is such an interesting, concept, because the underlying principle of this framework is that conflict, of course, first of all, it has to be established that conflict is inevitable, and that both positive and negative consequences may occur depending on how the conflict resolution process is managed. So Dr. Martina encourages us to use different things like accommodating. Other things are like collaborating, compromising, avoiding, competing. Those are some of the parts. Those are some of the things that her system talks about. Just 1 second. I'm trying to see if my guest is here, but he's not yet connected. I think he's still trying to get his way back in. But then a lot of people, of course, have also challenged that system as well, because sometimes I believe that in order for you to be able to resolve conflicts, people have got to get to the place where they're ready to resolve it. They have to, first of all, identify that there is a problem with themselves or whatever that is happening. For example, some of the things that you might notice is, people's emotions begin to impede their thoughts, people's tempers kind of like flare up in the workplace. Sometimes we have their body languages, maybe it's nonverbal or paraverbal, become very defensive and aggressive. Some people just become so disrespectful. So, Dr. Martina kind of feels or thought that, beginning with things like accommodating, teaching people how to accommodate other people, especially in a workplace that is probably very diverse and you have different kinds of people. We have to learn how to accommodate other people. We have to learn how to understand that people are always going to be different from us. That's the first step. Another step is collaborating. some people do not love to work with other people, just do not understand working with other people, and it's really sad. But Dr. Martina believes that we have to learn how to collaborate, because when you collaborate with the other person, it doesn't make you less of who you are. What that person brings to the table complements what you already have. Another thing that she was talking, I mean, she swears by is compromising. And welcome, Nika. It's great to have you in the house. Welcome, Nkiru. It's great to have you in the house. So another thing that she swears by, I think my guest is here. Just 1 second. Let's see if we can get him back on. Let's see. We're going to try. Welcome, Mr. Charles.
Yeah, sorry for the internet breakdown. I'm so
No problem.
sorry. I'm here now.
Yes, I had taken on the session just before you got here, but that's fine. So, Mr.
Yeah,
Charles,
sure.
we're just going to jump on in to the, to your part of it. I was already talking about how different steps in which people can take to resolve conflict in the workplace. But of course, you are the expert, so I'm going to back off and allow you to do your thing. So my first question for you, Mr. Charles, just before I hope that your network is going to behave this time, is what does civility mean to you? Whether it's civility, whether it's etiquette, manners, what does it mean to you? I know that your focus, really, what you do on an everyday basis is personal branding. So what does civility mean to you as a personal branding strategist? Over to you, Mr. Charles.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm very humbled being here. This big platform. It's a public holiday here as well. So, yeah, today is Nyelele Day, one of our former nation founders. We normally embrace him on 19th October every year. So, thank you guys. Thank you for waiting. Civility to me means kindness, politeness, the way things you do that you like most to be done for yourself. Uh, the way it's how you reflect self-love to others. What are the things that you love to be done for yourself? What are the things that annoys you? Don't want someone to do for you, and you duplicate for the person next to you. So civility to me is more of kindness, is more of helping, is more of being a good citizen, is more of taking care, is more of being into the other's shoes. So civility is a humanitarian approach on dealing with everything you do, either you are at work or you are in the class or anywhere. As long as you're dealing with people around next to you, your neighbor, your workmate, anyone who's looking for support. Sometimes you take a concern without being asked to do that. So that's civility at the maximum level. You do something not expecting something, being instructed. You do it by yourself because you see something, someone is in need. Someone needs a help from your side. So to me, civility is more of being a human, more of being kind than being right. So civility means bigger than whatever it is, but it's more on how you treat your fellow humans next to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, treating others the way that you want to be treated, and treating others with kindness and not expecting anything in return. I think that is so powerful. Thank you so much. Welcome, Stacy. It's great to have you in the house. Thank you for joining us this morning. It's good to have you. Faren Salem, it's good to have you in the house. Now, some of you are coming in from my personal page, but there are still people from my business page. I can see that happening. I'm not able to call your name directly and welcome you because I cannot see your name. I just see the numbers dropping in from my business page. But welcome. I want you to know that I really appreciate you making our time to be here. So this is going to take me to my next question for you, Mr. Charles. And this is, what is conflict resolution? Or what is conflict, really? What does conflict mean to you? Because, here in Civilized Presence, we always make sure that our focus is to break things down into little bits that everyone can understand. Because if we
Yes.
have people come to the session and they do not understand what we're discussing, then we failed. So we have
Yeah,
to
sure.
break it down. We cannot assume that people know, even though we have professionals and leaders, my audience here. But just in case somebody stumbles on the video, what is conflict to you? Over to you, Mr.
Uh,
Charles.
yeah, thank you. Conflict is divided into major two parts. The first part is the internal conflict, the intra conflict, and the second part is inter conflict, which is a major one. Which is the result of the intra conflict. Let me clarify a little bit. What is the intra conflict? Conflict is by the meaning. Conflict is a misunderstanding. Is within a person or within one another person or the two parties. They never understand with their
Yes.
interest, with whatever the context that they want to communicate. So the conflict, but the conflict in its category, we have one is interpersonal conflict and intrapersonal conflict. Intraperson is within yourself, uh, having indecisive, having two things you want to pursue on the same time. You discuss by yourself. I just want to go this way. I want to go this way. You are somewhere at the between. By yourself, you don't want you don't know what to decide. You don't know what to do. So you are in conflicting yourself with interest, with belief, with the issues of faith, with the issue of professionalism. So that's inter conflict, intra conflict within yourself. You fail to decide. You fail to make a plan. You fail to do something. So you something that comes as a divided decision, a divided opportunities, as a divided things that is divide you within yourself. So to me, interperson beginning with intraperson. So someone when someone is fighting, when someone is not taking care of yourself, when someone is treating you bad, is a reflection of what is going on inside him or herself. So to me, interpersonal conflict is a result of intrapersonal conflict. When you see someone is smiling, when you say Louisa is smiling, teaching us, it's a reflection of what's going on inside her. So interpersonal is the result of intrapersonal conflict. That where now the two parties from their unsolved intrapersonal conflict, these two parts comes and fight. So the interpersonal is a misunderstanding between the two groups, Group A and the Group B, with the intra, with the face, with what they can fight for, with material, whatever, with any difference that they can, emotions, cultural beliefs, and all that. So to me, when you define conflict, conflict is more of yourself, of more yourself of failing to take a step ahead, failing of being incisive, failing of the failure of being able to articulate this stuff, and that sometimes you can delay, you can lead a lot of for misunderstanding. So conflict resolution when it comes to workplace now. It's a bigger subject as being always doing at most of the corporate here in our country. So conflict by its meaning is a misunderstanding between the two parties, and it begins with yourself. It is a manifestation to the group, the second group. And by the categories, we have intraperson, which is within yourself, and the second one we have interperson, which is between the two parties, part one and part B. Yeah.
Thank you so much for breaking that down, inter and intra. That's interesting. And what I gathered from that is I believe that the inside affects the outside, just like you said.
Yeah,
So even
sure.
in the workplace, you could be having an internal conflict. And of course, you get to the workplace and begin to fight with everybody, but it's coming from within. So what I'm
Yeah,
gathering
sure.
from what you just explained is that I think it's time for us to begin to look at conflict resolution from the inside,
Yeah,
learning
exactly,
self,
exactly.
changing character,
Yeah,
self-assessment,
yeah,
self-leadership. Because whatever that you show up
exactly.
in the outside was already cooking up in the
Very true.
inside. You cannot
Yeah,
show
sure.
kindness in the outside if you're toxic in the inside. So that means that we're going to
Definitely.
excuse people who have been pretty much bullying people and making trouble in the workplace. Just after listening to Mr. Charles a little bit, it's making me understand that sometimes it might kind of seems like it's beyond their control sometimes. But sometimes, of course,
Yeah.
there are people who love to inflict pain on others. Don't get me wrong. There are some people who just love to inflict pain on you. And sometimes it has to do with their ego or struggle of, power. It's like they want to feel higher than the other person. But there are other people
Yeah. Sure.
who probably are going through something else. I remember reading a quote that talked about, if you do not heal yourself, you're going to end up bleeding on other people. So I think that's what Mr. Charles means. So we kind of lost Mr. Charles there. I believe that he is on his way coming back again. He's here again, but his internet is a little fuzzy. That's okay. Welcome,
Yeah.
Mr. Charles. Yes, that's okay. So we're going to get this to the next question for you. And my next question would be, now, with all the work that you're doing, what are the
Yeah.
major causes of conflict in the workplace? What are some of the things that you've seen that has caused, conflict in the workplace with all the work that you're doing, with all the experience that you have? And feel free to share personal stories. Over to you, Mr. Charles.
Yes, thank you so much. I like your quote. The quote that you read somewhere is, when you don't heal where you've been cut before, you're gonna breed for someone and not supposed to breed for. So the most causes of conflict at workplace. One of the foremost cause, or the foremost cause is having undivided interest. So most you can find most of the core work as the staff, more the work and the working team, the working prayer. They are working somewhere, but they definitely have uh, uh, side projects or side projects. So they find themselves into the lack of concentration, poor performance at workplace, lack of commitment, poor communication, uh, failure to submit the assignment on time. Uh, so that leads to the last of the conflict in that workplace. So to me, having staff who have the divided attention, I don't want to say that people should not do their side job projects on their own. I really mean that having the project doing aside of your main cause, your main job, your main work that you're employed for, or probably you're working for yourself, it has to be very clear that you should not divide your performance or your attention at workplace. So the biggest loot is one. But the second thing that's led to most of the conflict is cultural differences, the cultural beliefs, even sometimes the races, but we don't call it here. It's a global fight. So on the rest, let me put aside it. The visuality at workplace, the glitch. One of the good stories I read somewhere, it's about how do we come together as a team. Come together as a team is a little bit difficult, especially here in Africa, to be specific in Tanzania. Coming people working together is the biggest challenge, but people that are easy to part together. So it's the culture that we need to build so much harder. Building a team here is a little bit you need to go extra miles. But I always try to convince, to train people on how they can come together. Coming together, it needs to understand your neighbor's emotions, your neighbor's beliefs. You need to respect the individuality. You need to respect what I believe. You need to respect what I love. You need to respect whatever my physicality. You need to respect whatever my perspective. So it begins with yourself to understand that you are not better than the other, that is, you can fit in the team. So by seeing yourself, you're better than the rest of the team, that's where the conflict begins. So the individuality is one of the big challenge, one of the biggest challenges that we're trying to address in most of the corporate, most of the organization here, the banks, the other financial institutions. Yeah, so that's a second. The third main cause of conflict at workplace is lack of professionalism. You find there are professionals who are employed, they're working on the right track, they live at a professional level. So you're gonna find the amateurs are in as well. So is meet with the amateur is where the conflict comes in. So as As a trainer, that's one of the biggest challenges I've been facing. So you find some little bit same skilled stuff and extremely skilled stuff. So when they meet somewhere they don't compete, they fail to understand the language of each other. They don't find the area of community. So that also brings a lot of conflict. And the first source of conflict is, as I said before, from the introductions of civility, um, is the personal issues. Someone is taking the personal issues to the office. Someone is taking his or own stresses on marriage or whatever, parenting or whatever the thing. So he presents them at office, at workplace. So it's the person is easier to be distracted. The person is easy to judge others. The person is easy to be getting frustrated. The person is easy to take one step ahead without the conflicting. So I always teach people we're in the world of not telling me what have gone wrong. You're in the world now to tell me how can I do it. So that brings the sense of the atmosphere of peace and love at workplace. It's reduce the friction. So that's also the key. So people are not held by themselves. So when they go at workplace with their while they're victims, so they're easy, they're prone to conflict, they're prone to fight at workplace. Yeah. So and another bigger the fifth cause of conflict workplace is communication. Most of people they don't listen to understand, they listen to reply. So this has been a major cause. So whenever someone wants to communicate, they don't listen to understand, they listen to reply. So whenever they're trying to reply, they reply something that was never meant to be communicated before. So the conflict arises from that. Like, and uh, the one of the major thing also is on leadership. Leadership is a key challenge. The leaders they mostly say they don't show their team. So by just telling them what to do and not showing them, it has been a bigger challenge to the subordinates on how they can demonstrate exactly what the leaders are saying and what the leader is directing others to do. So to me, those are the key areas that I've been observing them on how people they can they relate to most of the challenge, meaning most of the conflict in the workplace. But also uh, work-life balance. How do you balance the social life and the work life? How do you balance the family life and the work life? So it's been also a challenge. You can find someone fight with his or her husband or his wife at work. So it is ridiculous at the workplace. These things happen. So these are the things that happens in most of the offices here now in our country, in Tanzania to be specific. But these are the things that can be solved. So we are trying to train them to help them on how they can balance the working life situations and last brings harmony at workplace. So these are the most biggest challenges are the causes that brings conflict at workplace.
Thank you so much. I think that was really, really good. Thank you and welcome, TC Cooper. It's great to have you in the house. And I've seen your question just before I get to that. Welcome, Sister Dulcie. Welcome, Sheila from Ghana. Welcome, Kerry from Kenya. Welcome, Samuel from Nigeria. Welcome, Dr. Eric. Welcome, Franklin from, I think it's Mexico. I'm not sure, but welcome. I'm so excited that you made out time to be here. The topic of today is conflict resolution in the workplace. And I believe that this is something that concerns everyone. Now, because of network and issues, if you missed any of the things that Mr. Charles said, I'm just going to go back. He talked about the causes of conflict in the workplace, and they listed them out nicely: divided attention, lack of concentration and commitment, cultural differences, individualities, coming together as a team. People struggle to work together, lack of collaboration. I think that one thing that is going to help people to solve conflict in the workplace is emotional intelligence. People have got to be emotionally intelligent because that's the only way you can respect other people's emotions, respect other people's perspectives and beliefs. Lack of professionalism is another thing he mentioned. Personal issues and stresses. So people are bringing all their baggage to the workplace, all of the issues going on with them in their personal life, like bringing it to the workplace. Another thing is communication. And I liked how he said that you don't listen to understand. I mean, people don't listen to understand; they listen to reply. And I find that it's very, it happens on an everyday life. People do not listen. Effective listening is lacking behind. You have to listen when people speak. How to balance in work and life is really the approach that he wants to take. And he's been disconnected now, but he'll be back. And of course, we have a question here from TC Cooper this morning. She said, why is coming together such a challenge in Africa? That's a question for Mr. Charles Nduku. I'm just waiting for him to get back on. And she has another comment here. Yes, harmony is so important. We call it life work integration. Yes, that's correct. And welcome, Sikani, my friend. It's good to have you in the house. Thank you so much. We have another comment here from TC Cooper. Yes, emotional intelligence is so key and sadly not a key focus for too many organizations. That is so true. I find that another thing that causes conflict in the workplace is unconscious bias. It's a big thing in the workplace, I don't know what you do not know, so I really do not care, and I just feel I should do whatever I want to do. And as most organizations are becoming a lot more diversified, I think it is time for us to pay so much attention to this. What is this thing that is eating up the workplace? I think conflict is a big thing. We really have to pay attention. The organizations have got to pay attention. The leaders have got to pay attention. That's one of the things that he mentioned is the cause of conflict is the leaders. Leadership is a big thing. Because if people are not satisfied with the leaders and how they're being treated, of course, that's when conflict begins. So, this is some of the things. And guys, please come on in. If you're just joining us, it's the Civilized Presence. We are here every Mondays and Fridays at 8:30 Eastern Time. I know our time recently changed from 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Just because I'm going to be transparent with you, it's a longer commute for me to the office. And this is why the time changed, because I don't want to show up here telling you I was late in traffic. So I had to give myself some 30 minutes extra. And so I know a lot of people are still getting used to the time, but what is important is the message. And thank you so much, Sister Cooper. It's so good to have you here. Thank you. It's always wonderful. And Sister Eileen has shared so much with us. She said, being able to lead yourself to be civil to others. Yes, that is so important. Self-leadership. I believe that conflict, one of the things, and I'm just waiting for Mr. Charles to get here. I hope that something he's going to share with us is really on self-assessment. Because look at it. If we have so many broken people in the offices, okay, they need to be fixed. If not, they're just going to keep bleeding on everybody. So how can we get them fixed? Is by asking them, encouraging them, maybe to hire a coach. There's so many coaches online right now. Maybe to speak to somebody, deal with your own personal issues before you get to the office, because it's just going to spill off. It doesn't matter how you try to pretend, it's going to show up. It will show up. So I think that conflict resolution should begin from the inside. I know that, we educate people so much about what they should do and what is going to work. But, really thinking about it, when I was preparing for this session, I thought about it. If the problem is coming from within, then we have to work with the inside. We have to work with the character. Because if you're able to gain clarity on what you should be doing in the workplace, what is expected of you, then you're able to align your character with that. Being an employee in the workplace, there's so many things that is expected. You have a lot of responsibilities, not just to show up in the morning. So what do you do? Because if you're dealing with so much, then productivity is going to suffer in the workplace. Conflict resolution heals productivity. So companies should pay more attention to this because they're losing money. If you have a lot of sick people in the workplace, I mean sick because they're sick from the inside, then I don't know how much work you're going to get done, So I really do think that more and more organizations should pay attention to this, should, add this onto their budget to spend more money and bring in experts to educate people And of course, this is why, I'm thinking about starting up the workplace series. It's just that I've been so busy. That's why I haven't started it. But the workplace doctor series is something that I'm bringing on lunchtime because it's so important. There's so much problems in the workplace. And another comment from Arlene, it has to be an inside job first. I totally agree with you. And I have another comment here from TC Cooper. I'm just waiting for a minute. If it's not here, I'm going to continue with the session. Companies must have core values and guiding principles. That's correct. I totally agree with you, TC Cooper. That's something that companies should be doing. So just before Mr. Charles had joined us, I was talking about how can we resolve this conflict in the workplace. And one of the things that I think is so important is also making sure, get the people in the workplace, get the workforce to understand that building good relationships should be priority for them in the workplace. It doesn't matter. Listen, you're not going to love everyone. I'm not saying that you have to be their friend or their lover or something, but just maintain a good relationship with them could really help to resolve the conflicts that we have. Because if we have a good relationship, rather than being hostile and aggressive, or have a disrespectful discussion when something happens, because I have a relationship with you, I would be able to talk to you and just kind of look for a better time to talk to you about it and kind of explain to you where I'm coming from. So maintaining a good relationship is key. I think something else that we should use that would work with conflict resolution is really trying to separate people from what the problem is. Sometimes something is happening and we know some people struggle with certain things and they struggle with it. It doesn't matter what. So if you see two people are struggling and maybe their personalities are conflicting, try to take them away from it. Don't keep putting them in the same place until they get to an awareness where they can work together and be able to deal with this amicably. I think that another thing that can really help us in dealing with conflicts really is when conflicts happen, let's try to have a conversation, begin to set out the facts, what triggered this conflict, what was the problem, where did the misunderstanding begin, and find options, begin to explore options together. Like, we are all not perfect, but we must be ready to learn. Okay, let's find what are the issues, what triggered this. And I think my guest is back here. Welcome, Charles. I'm so sorry that you're struggling today, but thank you so much. Welcome, Charles. Can you hear me, Charles?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm so sorry that you're struggling, but we are really enjoying working with you. So before your network gets messy again, can you just finish this up by just kind of sharing with us what kind of steps can the audience use to resolve conflicts that has already happened in the workplace? Over to you, Mr. Charles.
Oh, okay. Thank you. And I'm very sorry, guys, for the cutting off of the access.
That's okay. That's okay. The message is good.
Yeah, sure. What are the things that we need to take away the way forward and how we can resolve conflict to our place? Um,
Okay, we cannot even hear you anymore. Can you hear me?
we need to reflect the self-love to others.
Hello, Mr. Charles, I cannot hear
We
you.
want to
Can you
be.
hear me?
How do we? Yes, yes, sure. I can hear.
Okay, go
Yeah,
for it.
I get you.
Okay, go for it.
Yes, hello.
Yes, I
Yeah,
can
you
hear
hear
you
me?
now. Yes.
Yeah. Yes, we.
Okay, it's his network is still okay. He's back again. This is gonna happen, and guys, thank you so much for your patience. Sometimes when we have a great message, can you imagine what is going on? Oh my goodness. Welcome, Mr. Charles. It's perfect now. Go for it. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I was trying to say, how do we heal now? How do we go about how to work for it? The first resolution, everyone should have his or her own peace, the internal peace. The way you reflect, the reflection from our actions, from our what's happening, how do we help others? We definitely need to heal ourselves first. Then we can easily heal to each other. So that's number one. How do you deal with your personal issues, your personal distress, your personal stresses, your personal dissatisfactions, your personal goals? How do you deal with by yourself? So you need to be comfortable with yourself. Find your happiness before being productive. So most of the organizations they happy after being productive, but we just want to recommend everyone should be happy first so that they can produce more. So being productive is a result of being happy, and not being productive is a result of being happy. No, the happiness. So to me, uh, uh, the first thing that we need to learn is emotional intelligence and artificial intelligence. How do we understand each other? How do you understand my emotions today? You know, probably at workplace, me and Akaiso, we used to have jokes sometimes, you know. So the other days I'm just cool. I'm just doing not fine, doing okay. How do you understand my emotions and put aside the jokes today and we keep peace at workplace? So we really need people to train them on how they can understand their emotion and understand the others' emotions, and so when now we come in on board and the conflict will also be minimized. Um, another thing is leadership style. How do we lead people? We lead people by being bosses. We lead people by not showing them, by directing. We really need to lead people by showing them how it's done, how this is practical, how this can be achievable. So as readers, as the team players, as the leaders, as leaders in every in organization, how do you build that? How do you showcase? How do you showcase exactly do you want people your team to display? So as a reader, you really need to show exactly what do you want your team probably to achieve at the end. Then they come exactly. Yeah, another struggle is the communication system. How do people personalize some messages? You know, I probably could just saying hello, Louisa, how are we doing? So like someone can take it very personal and become the source of conflict. How do we use that? How do we use communication as tool to everything at all? Communication should be the message. Of course, we differ on how we interpret statements or whatever and the beliefs and all that. But communication it has to be the clearly what do you call the solution is understanding the individuality. I can be Muslim, I can be Christian, I can be none of them, I can be whatever I can belong. So you need to respect what I believe at workplace. So there are people who have been disrespected because of their beliefs at workplace, and where the conflict starts. So by knowing Charles is a Christian or is a Muslim, whatever he believes, so the respect of the mutual respect of the individuality at work is the key. This has been happening so much more, especially here in Africa, in Tanzania to be specific. Most people disrespect the other's face. So by disrespecting my face or my belief, it's another cause, a big source of conflict. So another way of dealing with this is having a well systematic system on how people work, on how stuff should be arranged. You know, the conflict sometimes can be formed just from the disorganized. Things are not on setup. Everything is not scheduled. So things are not planned. That's the conflict from the way I see stuff. So from the environment, I should conflict. I should see the things are planned by myself. I just get myself assertive to start a disagreement. So that should be set from the individual level. How do you plan yourself? How you organize it, from the way you look, from the way you present yourself, from the way you carry yourself, from the way how you walk. How do you communicate? How do you shake hands? How do you show your body? How do you show your energy? So that leads to an organization level. So how do the individuals present themselves to the organization, and how does an organization is well organized in the plan that can even minimize the sizes or the magnitude leading to the conflict. So these are like some of the things that I face in them as the main cause of conflict at the workplace. So I definitely encourage to act and respect. As my sister said, how do we bless the organization core values as the destiny? When you practice the organization values, they lead to the character of organization. That's the so by living the cultural values of the organization, probably could be integrity, teamwork, and excellence, of high perform probably so everyone in the team in the organization practice them. They lead to the character, and the character leads to the culture, which is the destiny for an organization. So an organization looks for the culture at the end. What does my people want them to see? How do they communicate? How do they complete work? How do they support each other? How do they complement them beyond work? So those are the ways on how we can exactly deal with conflict at the workplace. But the first thing is to begin with individuals. Second, let's go to the organizational level. How do personally, individually, these people deal with their own issues, the personal issues that they have on personality, on cultural, whatever they are facing, financial issues or whatever they can be. So by having this, 95% of 95% of the moderates, they're from outside. So how do we deal with them? How do we help these people, individuals? That's why we encourage more training to the team, to build a team on how they can handle their own issues. So when they come at work, the 5% can be easily condemned. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This is so good, guys. And thank you so much, all of you who are still here. It's the Civilized Presence. If you're just joining us, I don't want to say you're late to the party, but welcome, Giselle. It's good to have you in the house. Ikalon, it's good to have you in the house. Coach ID, it's good to have you. Farhan Salim, it's good to have you in the house. The conversation today is conflict resolution in the workplace. And I brought one of the best from Tanzania in Africa, who is a personal brand strategist, really to talk to us about the concept of conflict resolution. That it's not time for us to just throw in the towel. We have to deal with it. This is an issue that, eats everybody up, because whether you are in the workplace directly or not, maybe your spouse is in the workplace, maybe your sister is in the workplace, maybe your parents is in the workplace, and as soon as they're going through some kind of pain, they bring it back home. You see what happens? Incivility continues. Whatever that's going on with them, they bring it back home. So I think that we have to deal with the issues that we're experiencing in the workplace. And welcome, I know it's so good to have you in the house. So some of you, because of the internet or connection issues, if you could not hear him, some of the things that he shared with us on resolving conflict is building inner peace and happiness. I think happiness is I love to hear about happiness, but I think there are different kinds of happy. What's your kind of happy? Okay, so build your kind of happy and bring it to the workplace, because that's what we want to see: emotional intelligence and artificial intelligence. And I'm just going to
Yeah.
get you to talk about artificial intelligence for a minute, but just 1 second while I just kind of list that down. Leadership. So leaders must be the role model, must be who they want to see in the workplace.
Sure,
So you
sure.
must be the first positive role model for people who work under you. Communication, learn how to communicate effectively. respect other people's individualities, their faith, their beliefs, their cultures. A lot of workplaces are very diverse now, and people
Yes.
are different and unique in their own way, and it's okay for them to be unique. You
Yeah.
have
Sure.
no right to begin to bring down whatever that they stand for. No, 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 you don't want to do that. And he talked about verbal and nonverbal communication. Whether you're opening your mouth or not, your body language says so much about you. Your facial expression says so much about you. I was listening to a session yesterday, and the coach said, it doesn't matter what you're going through, fix your face. I thought I loved that. Fix your face, because sometimes people just show up and it seems like they're carrying the whole world on them, and so they begin to bleed on everyone. And another thing that he shared with us is we have to embrace the organizational core values. So I would also add on that it is important for the organization to hire us to build a culture of civility within their workplace. Because
Yeah.
I
Sure.
think that civility is the answer to all of this. Civility provides the solution. When you embrace a culture of civility in the workplace, then of course you begin to experience high performance, productivity, punctuality, engagement of your employees. Respect will be the everyday language in your workplace. Golden rule, people begin to treat others the way they want to be treated. And of course, this is going to help you to build a great team to succeed. So I don't think that
Yes.
people can sit on the timelines anymore, deciding on whether they want to build a workplace that has the culture of civility in it. I think this is a necessity. It's like not drinking water. If you want to have success in your workplace, guys, this is the solution. Civility is key. And I have a comment from Enobo, said inner peace is key. The issues we struggle with others more often than not comes from within. That's correct. That's correct. Inner peace is so key. Self assessment. Take a moment and really look into yourself and speak to yourself. Because when we speak to ourselves, we're able to speak the truth. You cannot lie to yourself, okay? My mom used to say that the person you don't want to lie to is yourself. Because when you begin to lie to yourself, you become a failure. So, speak to yourself. What are those things that you're struggling with? And you would know it's going to show up. Spend some time with you. Give yourself, pamper yourself, give yourself some love, and ask yourself, why have I been behaving so crazy? Why am I not able to work with other people? Why am I so aggressive? What is happening? And you will find what the problem is. And at that point, you can now begin to begin to look for solutions, maybe hire a coach or whatever that you need at that point. So we need to drop away ego, because sometimes we have issues that we are handling, and our egos would not let us, be able to own up to these issues. Sometimes we have things that we're struggling with, and that's okay. Everybody has something they're struggling with all the time. So just before I let you go, Mr. Charles, can you talk to us about what artificial intelligence is? Just because I want to learn too. So what is artificial intelligence and how does this help? Over to you, Mr. Charles.
Yes. Thank you for the comments and for the adding points that you have added up. It's really, 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 really attractive. Artificial intelligence is more the use of technology. How does now technology is working on behalf of human being? You're gonna find a communication company out there to wishing you a birthday, Louisa. You you
Mm,
you 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 can find how technology is taking the lead even on before we. So you can find how does technology is taking one step ahead of us. So you can even just forget today is Louisa's birthday. Probably technology will remind you. So technology sometimes is going ahead of us, which is not true. So we really need to counter check. There are the things which technology cannot do, and that's one of them is negotiation skills, people management, visualizing data, skills, that problem solving. Those are the things that the internet or whatever the technology the robot thing they cannot do by themselves, whatever it is. So to me, artificial intelligence is one of the key elements that we really need to understand that. Also, we really need to use it as to harmonize some situation at the workplace. So, by the use of for example, today is my birthday. I'm working at a bank, so the bank wishes me and present me something. So that's emotional intelligence. So the bank is behalf. So the text will be sent from the bank. Charles, thank you for banking with us, and we wish you a birthday. So that brings the inner peace. So the place I'm working, they value me, they respect me. So it doesn't come from the director. It's come from the bank. That comes from the organization. So that was I wanted to. That what I was trying to communicate. How does artificial intelligence reflects and show that we recognize and respect exactly retro support that if that we're doing at the organization level. So artificial intelligence helps us to grow and to see a retro appreciation of what we are doing at a certain office or organization level trying to communicate. So artificial intelligence is more of use of technology on how it communicates the emotions to from outside.
Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. So, artificial intelligence, like you've learned right now, is the use of intelligence, technology. And I love that you said it's used to harmonize the experience of everyone. And I get those little texts sometimes from the bank, and it's like, "Happy
Wow,
birthday, Louisa."
how do you feel?
And I feel, oh my goodness, that feels good, right? I said, wow, the bank remembered me. I'm going to keep my
Yes,
money here a little longer.
exactly. Yeah, it makes a lot
So,
of sense.
yes, so I love that you mentioned that. I think that something else that's going to help with conflict is culture of honor. Culture of
Yeah,
honor is really appreciating people for the little work that they're doing. Celebrate people. It doesn't matter. Maybe it was just a tiny little bit of project, but when they get it done, celebrate them. Culture of
yeah,
honor is a big thing. You know, sometimes organizations wait till the end of the year before people are given awards, and sometimes the awards is just given to certain people. But I believe that we shouldn't wait and extend it, that people should be honored. People need to be celebrated. People want to feel valued, and that will like affect the way their quality of work and quality of what they do every single day. And of course, it will bring that inner peace for them that the organization really appreciates them. And welcome, Patrick. It's good to have you in the house. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone who has been here. I am so excited and so honored that you made our time to be here. We've extensively discussed on the topic of conflict resolution in the workplace. And of course, if you do have any more questions, please post them in the comments, okay? And I would be happy to pass it on to our guest. I have another comment here from Sister Eileen. The words that you speak become the house you live in. What kind of houses are we living in? Whoo, 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 whoo. I love that. I love that comment. Thank you so much. Respecting others' belief shows you care about them. And that's from Sister Eileen. It said, internal peace. It is a powerful tool to have. Very good. Very good. Thank you so much. Everyone loves, the session, Mr. Charles. I have another comment from Sister Eileen. Even when you call people by name with a smile, makes them feel good. That is
wow,
so
yeah,
correct. So, guys, it is a Monday. I want to make sure that if you were frowning the whole weekend, it is time for you to switch it up and smile. Sister Eileen just reminded us that you have to smile. A smile doesn't cost you anything. It's the same thing that civility does not cost you anything, but it buys everything. Guys,
yeah, sure.
treat others the way that you want to be treated. Step out. I'm not saying it's going to be easy for you, but I'm saying that we have to be intentional about it. We have to be intentional about it. Set some intentions this week. That Louisa, after stepping out of your session this Monday morning, I'm powered up, I'm filled up to get out there and make a difference. In North America, it's a holiday, so you have some time to relax, and then step out tomorrow. And whoever that you meet today, whether it's in the grocery store, whether it's on the road, just lend a helping hand, because you see, inner peace is not something that is just going to happen. Guys, inner peace is, you have to be intentional about getting peace for yourself. If you are sitting in this box, and of course, Sister Eileen has talked to us about what kind of house are you living in. If you're living in a conflict house, an angry house, and in a house where you do not want to talk to anybody, you don't want to work with anybody, inner peace is not going to come. Okay? It's not going to leave there. So you have to be intentional about it. Be good to people, maybe just with a lovely smile, maybe to pay it forward. It feels good to do those things. And don't expect anything in return. That's how you get inner peace. So that when you get back to your workplace tomorrow, guys, I encourage you, that one person that was giving you trouble, go and buy them lunch. Go and buy them lunch. Invite them to have lunch. Get some chocolates and give to them. Bring them a cup of coffee and break the ice. I mean, the first time you're going to hand them a cup of coffee, it's going to be like, she crazy? What? She brought me a cup of coffee? That's okay. But you know what you're doing. It's not just for them. It is for you. Because I believe that inner peace is going to reflect in your health too. So you see how civility has a rippling effect? Whatever that you do, it comes back to you. It's not about Louisa, it's about you. So let's be intentional in building the world and the life that we want beginning from today. And guys, I cannot thank you enough for hanging out with me on this Monday morning. I'm so excited that we're able to get this done. And Mr. Charles, thank you so very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you again, for your persistence. I love and I feel your passion in what you're sharing. And I just hope that we can bring you back over again and again. And next time, of course, talking about personal brand, because I know that you're Mr. Brand, and I want to bring you back to talk about personal brand. And guys, Mr. Charles is getting married soon, so you want to say congratulations to him. This is what we do.
Next Saturday.
Perfect. We love it.
Saturday. Yeah, this Saturday.
We love it. We love it. This is what we do. We hang out and have a party and just share love with one another. So it's so good to have you, and I wish you all the very best in what you're going to be doing this weekend, that everything is just going to go well. And guys, yes, thank you. We've come to the end of this, and I will be back here on Friday, same time, 8:30 a.m. Make it a date. Invite your friends and family. Invite other people. You see, we share great content here. And please go back and listen to this video. Maybe you have a question. Maybe you have a contribution. We want to hear from you. Send me an email, louisa@thecivilityacademy.com. Let me know, what kind of topics do you want to learn? What do you want to see in our session? This session is not for me, it's for you. If there's anything that I'm not doing right, I want to learn from you. So please send me a message and just let me know how I'm doing, what I can add on, what is going to make the experience a lot more better for you. Is the timing working out for you? Is not working out? Whatever. Just send me an email. Don't forget to put a smiley face there right at the end of your email. But thank you so much, everyone. I'm so excited. I'm pumped up. Yes, we're going to start up our workplace doctor series very soon. Speaking about the workplace, because there's so much that's going on in the workplace, guys, you have no idea. And so I think that with the Civilized presence, it's time for us, I've received so much comments on people asking me on sessions that has to do with the workplace. And the workplace is something that we have to take a lot of sessions to deal with. I think that we're going to be having it as a lunch hour session. So please, guys, try to be part of that, okay? Send me an email. I want to hear from you. And have yourself a wonderful rest of the week. My sisters and brothers in Canada, enjoy your holiday. In America, enjoy your holiday. In Tanzania, enjoy your holiday. And if you're in any part of the world that I haven't mentioned, I don't know you have a holiday, enjoy it. Tell us about it, because we want to learn. Someday we're going to have a day on culture, where we're just going to share information about different people's culture. I love you very much, and thank you for believing in me. Have yourself a wonderful rest of the day and week. See you on Friday. Bye for now.
Thank you.